There's a very good reason the 49ers played so poorly on Saturday night. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Quality Control. I am the 49ers unofficial quality control coach, Grant Cohn. And before I get into why the Niners lost, let me get into it right now. A big reason the Niners lost. They were clearly outcoached. They were clearly outplayed. They were not prepared. And I have to blame myself. Like, this is what quality control is all about, getting the team prepared, even if they didn't ask for your advice per se. So I'm here to give them unsolicited advice and sort of explain to you what happened last week. So I think it wasn't just me, although it starts and ends with me always. I always got to point the finger at myself. But did you know that the Niners didn't have a full practice last week because it was a short week? They played on, what was it, Sunday night against the Bears, and then they played on Saturday night against the Seahawks. So it was a short, compressed week. And Kyle Shanahan today was interviewed, and he was asked about Ricky Pearsall. The question was, where exactly is Ricky at? And did that aggravation happen during one of the practices last week? Kyle says, no, it happened in the game before that. We didn't do anything last week in practice, but it happened in the game versus Chicago, but he's in the same boat as Trent. Key part of that quote is, we didn't do anything last week in practice. Meaning they just had walkthroughs before the biggest game of the year with the number one seed on the line. Okay, his choice. And he did it because it was a shorter week. Usually they have like a medium practice on Wednesday where they do 7-on-7, 11-on-11 team drills, but they don't wear pads. Then on Thursday, they usually have a padded practice that's about 2 hours where they do, also do 11-on-11 team drills. And then Friday is the walkthrough. So it's like medium, hard, easy. That's their rhythm. And when they have a short week, I guess Kyle Shanahan cuts out the hard practice, which makes sense, I guess. I think he doesn't want to throw players into a rigorous practice after an off day. I think he feels that's how they get injured in practice. So I understand that. Still, though, you know who did more than walkthroughs last week? The Seahawks. How do I know? Because I asked Brian Nemhauser, the Hawk blogger who's covering that team every day with the credential. He was there. They had more than walkthroughs that the Niners didn't. So it seems to me that a big reason the Niners played so poorly is that Kyle Shanahan, I don't know what he was doing. He had one less day to prepare, and it showed. His play calling was ridiculous, and the team just wasn't physically ready for that game, which is why they got punked. They got physically manhandled. And maybe they would get physically manhandled anytime, but we saw this team against the Seahawks week one. It didn't look like that. I think Kyle Shanahan, I'm not saying he mailed it in. He just didn't put forth his best effort. And I think that this week they're going to put a much better effort forward, not because I'm telling them to do so, but because they have 8 days to prepare for the game. And I don't think you're going to see Kyle Shanahan lay an egg 2 weeks in a row because he's a good coach. Maybe not a great one. I mean, let's see him do something against Fangio. That's a great coach. Kyle can prove it. Every time he faces a great defensive coordinator, doesn't go so well for Kyle. A great one. He's supposed to be a great. Why is my name blue? Who asked it to be blue on the street? That's all right. We can do blue. Why is it blue? I hate this. What's going on here? Who asked you to be blue? This is the best part. Style? Oh, no. Who messed this up? How did this get blue? It should be, hate this. Now it's red. What is going on? Nope. Okay, we're doing blue today. No, classic. There it is. Someone messed with my settings. Did you come in my StreamYard? Did you mess with my settings? How dare you? Brand color? How about there? Dude, black on black, monochromatic. I don't understand what that was about. But isn't that kind of incredible that like the week before the biggest game of the season, you didn't have a full practice? Maybe switch it up and have a I mean, this is it. I, they might win the Super Bowl this year, but chances are they won't because even if they beat the Eagles, they have 2 more road games after that, most likely. Before the Super Bowl. I mean, they've tried that in the past. They made it to the NFC Championship game in 2021. It was the third straight road game. They finally ran out of gas in the fourth quarter of that game. It's hard to do. I mean, their chances of winning the Super Bowl were so exponentially better if they had gotten this number one seed and you didn't even practice before the game, and it showed. And the other team did, and they had the same amount of rest. You got out coached. You got out like not just out play called during the game. You got out coached on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which is why you lost. So I don't know. If the Niners go and win the Super Bowl, it doesn't really matter. We won't look back at this. This will just be part of the story. But if they lose to Philly, you'd be like, well, the only reason they were in Philly in the first place is because they didn't practice before the Seahawks game. I didn't know that I needed to have a quality control show last week reminding them to practice. But I mean, this is the issue with Kyle, man. He's so good. And then these details get in his way. I mean, first it was the overtime rules in Super Bowl. Now it's a 6-day week. You weren't prepared for a 6-day week. I mean, how many times did he complain about having to play on Saturday instead of Sunday? Get over it. So did the Seahawks. They have the same amount of rest as you, and they were coming off a road game, so it was actually harder for them. It would be a shame if they lost, if their season ended in Philly and they didn't have to be there. I'm not saying if they practice one day, they definitely beat the Seahawks, but the Seahawks only beat them by 10 despite dominating them because their quarterback isn't particularly good. Maybe if you had practiced, you would have beaten Sam Darnold. I still don't understand what the Niners were doing on offense and defense. I mean, the Bay Area radio stations never invite me. They used to. They don't anymore. 95.7 KMBR. I have a feeling someone from the Niners told them not to, or I just suck. But I don't think I suck. I think I'm pretty good. A lot of Niner fans watch me, and Seahawks fans seem to like me. I always get invited on to the radio station in Seattle, and they asked me why. Yesterday, I was on with Softy Mahler. I'm going to be on with Brock Heward on their flagship tomorrow. But they asked me yesterday, how come Robert Saleh kept his two safeties at 15 yards deep the whole game? And I don't know what to tell him. I don't know. I was wondering that during the game. Why are you doing this? Why are you so afraid of Sam Darnold throwing the ball? You should want to put the game in Sam Darnold's hands, right? He's going to make mistakes. Kenneth Walker isn't going to make mistakes. Sam Darnold almost gave the game away on a handoff. Literally. So I would imagine much better game plans from Saleh and Kyle in this game. Although I don't know, Saleh may be preparing for 8 different head coach interviews. I don't know. All I know is that he's going to be going up against a terrible offensive coordinator, and he should have the advantage there. Mr. Mike says, "Would you rather rock Pearsall or Hurts goatee during the game?" I'm all in with the Pearsall look. I'm taking Pearsall's look from him. He doesn't even know it. I'm taking his look, and then I'm taking his job. I'm gonna be a wide receiver for the Niners next year. Let's talk about something else. This is so interesting to me. Did you know that this season, George Kittle and Jake Tonjes have played a grand total of 7 snaps together on the field? 7. Hard to explain, right? And sure, I could ask Kyle Shanahan and I could let him give me an answer. But I don't know. Like, would you really put any stock into what he says? I mean, anyone realizes that Tonjes is a legit weapon. When Kittle goes down, they feature Tonjes, and he comes through. He isn't just like one of the options. He's often the number one option in the passing game when Kittle goes down. But then when Kittle comes back, Tonjes doesn't even play, and Farrell plays. So are we to believe that there's some schematic reason why Kittle and Tonjes can't get on the field together? I don't think so. Here's my best theory as to why they don't play Tonjes and Kittle together, and they really only play Tonjes when they absolutely have to. Technically, Tonjes is like more of a pass catching tight end than a blocking tight end. Farrell's more of the blocking tight end. So when they put another tight end on the field with Kittle, I feel like the thought process is, why don't we put a blocker out there so we can free up Kittle to run around? And Tonjes isn't the blocker. Okay, fair enough, I guess. But you could also just put out like a sixth offensive lineman if you wanted to do that. Like Luke Farrell is just not a threat as a receiver at all. It seems to me that it's significant that Tonjes is a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason. If they all of a sudden make him an integral part of the offense and he's starting ahead of Kyle Juszczyk, who makes $5 million a year, then in a month or two, the Niners are going to have to give him a second round tender just to keep him. And even then, another team could match it. I mean, didn't this just play out with Jordan Mason? How come Jordan Mason never really played, even though he was really good? I don't think the Niners wanted to pay him that much. They knew he was a restricted free agent. And I think they were hoping they could keep him without paying him a lot. And why didn't they want to pay him? Because they'd already paid Christian McCaffrey. And I wonder if ownership said, look, sorry, we're not paying another running back. So they were like, well, why don't we get cute here and try to keep him affordable? And they couldn't, and they traded him to a team that could afford him. Now you get the tight end spot. You're already paying a ton for George Kittle. Owners greenlit the Luke Farrell signing. So you're spending a lot of money. Your starting tight end is expensive. Your backup tight end is expensive for a backup. And now you're going to go to Jed and his parents and say, look, thanks for spending all this money on tight ends. Sure, George only played half the season or 3/4 or 2/3. And sure, Luke Farrell was an abysmal disappointment. But would you give us 3 years, 15 million for Jake Tonjes? Because he's a pretty good player too. I could see him saying no. No. Draft someone. Make it work with Luke Farrell and George Kittle. I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Tonjes isn't on this team next season. And I wonder if they're hiding him to keep him here, which makes sense from a business perspective. I get it, and I'd want to keep Jake Tonjes next year. I mean, imagine Jake Tonjes on the Chiefs or the Bills or the Bengals. Imagine Jake Tonjes in an offense with an elite quarterback who airs it out. An offense that's more of a pass first attack. It'd be really good. He could be starting. So I'm sure the Niners would love to keep him, but I think that he's shown enough. Probably. I mean, when he's had time, I mean, he's had multiple games this year where he's taken over against the Rams in LA, against the Bears with the season on the line. He's been really good. I would imagine the team's going to be looking into him. So like, screw it. Like the cat's out the bag. People know what you got. Instead of planning ahead and trying to like walk this tightrope of, not inflating his value so you can keep him for the future, just win the Super Bowl now. Playing Tonjes and Kittle together gives you a better chance to beat the Eagles than not playing them together. And the fact that you didn't play them together against the Seahawks, this is why I felt that the Niners were unprepared against the Seahawks. Kyle was just so bad. Where was the Tonjes and Kittle personnel package? That's got to be out there. But it wasn't. Where was the Brock Purdy zone read? For a month, that was your best play. That was like a guaranteed 6 points or a guaranteed first down. And yet in this game, on 4th and 1, you call a pass for Kyle Juszczyk. You don't call the zone read. You didn't call it in the red zone. Like, what are you doing? I think now with 8 days to prepare and it's a legit you lose, it's over type of a deal. I would hope that Kyle Shanahan would try the Tonjes Kittle personnel package a little bit with the season on the line, particularly if the offense isn't working. If Jawan Jennings isn't winning, try it. Also, you can't lose this game and score 10 points with Brock Purdy not running his own read. You got to do it. Otherwise, some people are going to hold you, Kyle Shanahan, responsible. Like, you are pretty much, most people agree that you're the main reason the Niners lost to the Seahawks week 18. 3 points. I mean, Brock Purdy wasn't great in the game, but it wasn't his fault. It was your fault. That was your offense. Those were your players out there. Those were your plays. See, so now you got an extra 2 days. Let's see Tonjes and Kittle on the field. Prove me wrong. Show me that I'm a stupid conspiracy theorist thinking that there's some business reason that you don't have Tonjes on the field. Prove me wrong. Put him on the field in this game. Show me that you've been saving it for the playoffs, and now you're gonna unleash it on the league. Whereas, stupid Sean McVay, he unleashed it week 7. You're gonna wait until week 19, and now Jake Tonjes is gonna push you to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's such a great 5th option. You have Juwan and Ricky, or whoever the wide receivers are, plus Kittle, plus McCaffrey and Tonjes on the field. I mean, no one's going to be thinking about Tonjes, and he'll hurt you. He will hurt you. I just don't understand. Anyway, prove me wrong, Kyle. You feel me? And I got more to say about Kyle. Kyle has a lot to prove in this game. He had a good season. We were saying it was his best season of his career, and he was in the Coach of the Year running, but now he's not going to win Coach of the Year because he got punked by Mike McDonald. 3 points, 3 freaking points. Could have been 6 or 10 if not for that interception, but either way, it was a horrendous performance. It was not the Kyle Shanahan we've come to know. The Kyle Shanahan we know is a guy who will punk other defensive coordinators, particularly guys who aren't the best. If you're like pretty good or mediocre or bad, Kyle Shanahan will expose you. It seems like he knows your defense better than you know it. I mean, what was it, 3 weeks ago when they faced Indianapolis? Indianapolis has statistically a good defense. Now they're missing their cornerbacks, both of them, and DeForest Buckner had been out, came back, had a neck injury, then left again after that game, so he was compromised. But the main reason the Niners scored like 800 points against the Colts, as great as Brock played, the main reason was Kyle. Those throws were wide open. He schematically eviscerated Lou Anarumo, who's not a good defensive coordinator. He just got fired by Cincinnati last year. He could get fired by Indianapolis any day now. He's not good. And Kyle Shanahan is good. And Kyle Shanahan can find your weaknesses, exploit the rules of your defense, and get big plays, touchdowns, lots of points. He's done it. We've seen him do it any number of times. But when he goes up against the best of the best, which he's supposed to be, right? If you ask who are the best offensive play callers in the league, he's always there with Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Ben Johnson. He's in the top 5. No question, right? So who are the top 5 defensive play callers? Steve Spagnuolo, Vic Fangio, Mike McDonald, Brian Flores, Jim Schwartz, D'Amico Ryans, Robert Saleh. So he did a good job against Robert Saleh last year. D'Amico Ryans shut him down a couple months ago. Steve Spagnuolo shuts him down every single time they face each other, at least since Spagnuolo's been in Kansas City. Kyle's never scored more than 15 points against Fangio in four meetings. Flores owned him last year. Schwartz owns him all the time. I mean, they scored 20-something points against him a few weeks ago, but the longest drive was like 35 yards. It seems like when Kyle Shanahan goes up against someone who's, the best of the best on defense, he can't find these little weaknesses to exploit. He just has to coach straight up, and he doesn't do well. And I mean, maybe you feel like there's no real insight there, but I would think the best of the best on offense should be able to win and get the best of the best of the best on defense sometimes, but he generally doesn't. Which makes me wonder, like, is it? Well, in the past we give him excuses, right? Well, it's because his quarterback's Jimmy G. It's the quarterback. He's going up against Patrick Mahomes. Well, now you can't use that excuse. I mean, everyone thinks Purdy's elite, right? Someone was saying he's the best quarterback in the league. He's getting paid like it. No excuses. You got the quarterback you want. He can go off script. He's mobile. He's this, he's that. So find a way to score 20 points against Vic Fangio if you're truly the best. Or do the Niners have a coach who's second tier? And if so, is he ever going to win a Super Bowl? I don't know. Maybe this is irresponsible to talk about right now. Maybe he's going to win a Super Bowl in a month, and I'll have to eat these words. But just a lot of people compare him to Andy Reid, right? Well, Andy Reid had to leave Philly after 12 years. The message got stale. The locker room tuned him out. He needed a fresh start. They needed a fresh start. At a certain point, both sides needed a fresh start. And I'm not saying the Niners are there with Kyle Shanahan, but if he has another season or it's oh so promising and he gets everyone's hopes up and they think, oh, this is going to be the year they win the Super Bowl, and then abysmal finish again. At what point is this just what you expect? At what point do you acknowledge that, like, this is just purgatory? You're always going to be in the mix. You're always going to have a good team, but it's never going to be good enough. I don't know. I guess we'll see. David Trinidad says, if Purdy keeps throwing to Tonjes, they're winning the Super Bowl. Dude is clutch and catches even the ugliest spirals. Man, I wish as a fan base we could. I wish as a fan base you could like shame Kyle into playing Jake Tonjes. I mean, remember 10 years ago when you guys were flying banners over the stadium? Where is that? Could we get a throw the ball to Jake Tonjes banner? That would be so clutch. It might just help the Niners win the Super Bowl, although they're not playing at home. Danny D says, get Juice off the field and run 2 tight end sets like Harbaugh did with Delaney and Vernon. Makes no sense, especially with the depleted receiving room. Harbaugh also used to run 22 personnel with Delaney, Vernon, Frank Gore, Bruce Miller, with like Crabtree out wide. Like, we're gonna bully you. I miss that. The Niners could do the same thing. They really could. But yo, before we move on, I want to shout out this week's sponsor, Brunt Workwear. I've shown you my Brunt before, but I'm bringing this to Philly, man, because I feel like people in Philly wear boots like this because it's cold. You know what I mean? They're no nonsense people. In New York, they wear Timbs and stuff. Brunt, I got my Philly boots. I'm bringing them. They'll keep me warm. I'll be able to walk in the snow if it's snowy. And what's nice about these is they come pretty much pre-broken in, so they don't hurt your feet and give you calluses and blisters, which I normally get when I'm wearing my work boots, you know what I'm saying, in the construction site. So I got my Philly attire. I'm bringing Brunt with me, and if anyone wants to check me, they're going to have to check these Brunt shoes up in their face. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better, boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use code Cohn at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use code COHN, and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them it was from this show. Check out on the screen. That's the code. Click on the link in the description. Get your own Brunt workwear boots. I'm telling you, man, I'm bringing these to Philly, and I'm stomping all over this whole town in my Brunt boots. I'm just gonna walk aggressively hard all around Philly. And if people say, "Hey, what's your problem?" Nothing. I'm just wearing Brunt shoes. That's what I'm gonna say. That's right. What kind of shoes you got? Bet they're not Brunts, or are they? Jay Journal says Kittle never shows up in big games. 2019, 3 playoff games, 8 receptions, 71 yards, no touchdowns. 2021, 3 playoff games, 7 receptions, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. 2022, 3 playoff games, 10 receptions, 164 yards, no touchdowns. 2023, 3 playoff games, 8 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm glad you brought this up because I was hanging out with my friend Kevin. Shout out Kevin Ruma if you're out there watching. Yesterday, we were golfing, and we were talking about Kittle and where he ranks in all-time tight ends. And I think if you're ranking him amongst the greatest of all time, like the Ditkas and the Kelseys and the Gateses and the Gonzaleses, you have to acknowledge the fact that Kittle has no playoff resume. He's been in a bunch of playoff games. He has 0 100-yard games in the playoff. None, not one. And you could blame whatever, Kyle or the quarterbacks, but at a certain point, that's got to be on you, George. And maybe now's the time to reverse the trend, although he didn't play well in the last game. He's not 100% healthy. Did this occur to anyone? The Niners looked great without Kittle against the Bears. Frank, to be fair, they weren't facing a good defense, but they lit up the Bears without Kittle because they had Tonjes, who's healthy, and he went off. The next week, Kittle rushes back because it's a big game. He's clearly not 100% healthy. Tonjes has to go back to the bench. Kittle does a bunch of nothing, and the Niners score 3 points. Would the Niners have been better off like sitting Kittle until he was healthy and actually using Tonjes? Obviously, they would have been better off using both of them. But if it was one or the other against the Seahawks, I would have played the healthy guy who was coming off the best game. But that's just me. Carson Farrow says would love to see more BR Jr. He runs with a different intensity and speed than CMC are, or have them both in the field together. I agree, man. Obviously, give Christian the first opportunity, but if he's averaging 2.5 yards a carry and doing nothing, and then you put Brian Robinson in the game and he's running hard, breaking tackles and averaging more than 4 yards a carry, then like do what's right for the team. Don't just justify the contracts. Seven Dennis says Gronk plus Super Bowls equals GOAT. Yeah. Have you looked at Travis Kelce's numbers in the playoffs? They're absurd. They're like Jerry Rice numbers. Jake the Snake says, when Kyle is finally out as coach, will you make your push to be the next great Niners head coach? Yes. Me and Tom Walsh will be running this team when the time is right. I've been studying and preparing for this my whole life. Who is the best player on the Niners defense right now? Obviously, when healthy, it's Fred Warner or Nick Bosa. Those guys are not healthy. So my question is, who is leading this defense? I think the obvious answer would be Diamador Lenore, who is a good player, and he's the highest paid player currently on the field. But personally, I think they're misusing him. I almost feel like they should trade him because he's best in the slot. He knows it. They know it. We know it. I don't know why they're playing him outside. Maybe it's because they like Upton Stout better. But if you're not going to play Diamador Lenore, what makes Diamador Lenore worth $85 million is the fact that he can play both, not one or the other. If you're only playing him outside, you're not using him to his full ability and you're not getting all, the full bang for your buck. So, not a fan. I think they should trade him to a team that will use him both outside and inside and bring in someone that you actually want. So right now, to me, the best player on this defense, the best fit, the guy who's ascending, peaking, is the rookie, Upton Stout. He just had his best game. He's good at everything. He's a good pass rusher. He's a hell of a run defender. He is just a ferocious tackler. And in coverage, I feel like he's a rookie, so he doesn't have a reputation. And he's getting in trouble for being like too sticky. And he's getting penalized here and there. But I can't remember him giving up a touchdown. It seems like once he develops more of a reputation, he'll get a little bit more leeway in coverage. That was probably their best draft pick, Upton Stout at the end of round 3 after Nick Martin. He's a better pass rusher than Alfred Collins. That's not even a dig. That's not even a joke. That's just a fact. He's a better pass rusher than Alfred Collins. Probably a better pass rusher than Michael Williams. He's probably going to end up being the best player from this draft class. And I think the question with him was at 5'8", can he hold up? How long can his body hold up throwing it, like playing the way he does, the way he throws it around? It's fine today. I mean, fine this season. And I think it's funny when Diamador Lenore was begging to get the matchup with JSN. I wonder if privately the Niners were like, Stout's better. I mean, Upton Stout. Let me just check out his draft profile real quick. So he runs a 4.44. He's 5'8.5", 180. He put up 21 reps on the bench. He's a 37-inch vert. He's just an athletic freak, just a little bit short. So he's not quite, Devin Witherspoon, who's the nickel for Seattle. But he tackles as well or better than Devin Witherspoon. He rushes the quarterback as well or better. Shout out to Upton Stout. I feel like I haven't given him any love this year. And, the Niners never, ever promote their own defensive backs. But I'd like to. I did with Jimmy Ward. I'd like to with Upton Stout. I want to mention one thing. Of all the moves the Niners made this offseason, letting Dre Greenlaw go, in hindsight, it was probably the right move, man. He's hurt too. He's hurt all the time. The one guy I think they got to regret letting go, Talanoa Hufanga. I don't understand why the Niners never really appreciated him. Like, he is objectively a good safety. And I don't know if they thought that good safeties were easy to find, or if they thought he wasn't good, because they replaced him with Jair Brown. I mean, Talanoa Hufanga is 25 years old. 25. He turns 26 in about a month. Jair Brown is also 25. He turns 26 in 2 weeks. Jair Brown is older than Talanoa Hufanga. Jair Brown is Talanoa Hufanga's replacement, and Jair Brown, I'm sorry, isn't good. Maybe one day he will be. But Talanoa Hufanga has always been good. Is he great? I feel like the Niners were like, well, he's not an all-pro. All right, well, whatever. He technically was an all-pro, but if you feel like that was because of his hair or his association with Troy Polamalu, whatever. Maybe he's not quite elite. I'm not saying he is, but he's definitely good. He's certainly above average. And I don't know that the Niners have another safety like that. Like Malik Mustafa, solid, and the rest are not solid. So that was strange. He wasn't even expensive. He was young. He was coming off a torn ACL. Okay. All right. So was Nick Bosa. You're not worried about that. Todd Labor says, "Hey Grant, how are you going to or how are you? Oh, I'm good. Going to any new restaurants to eat in Philly area? Are you going to film yourself eating? You've done it before. Should I? Do you want me to? Do you want to watch me eat? I can do that. Sure. I'm getting there on Friday, so I'll have all day on Saturday. Why not?" BA Castillo says, "Grant, what do the Niners got to do to win this game, man?" They got to score 20 points. And even that might not be enough. Good question. Danny D says, "Problem is Kyle, he becomes stagnant when facing solid defensive coordinators. What happened to the bootlegs and play actions? Purdy had the offense going before the interception when he was rolling out of the pocket." Agree. I feel like Kyle sometimes overthinks himself against good defensive coordinators. Like, oh man, I'm facing Mike McDonald. He's really good. He's expecting me to do X, Y, Z. So I'm not going to do the three best things we do. And I'm going to try to, it's like, okay, Kyle, you just beat yourself. The real Harvey Dent says, "Alfred Collins is a stud. Stop the hate, Grant." I like Alfred Collins a lot. I was just saying that I like Upton Stout better. It doesn't have to be one disparaging thing against the other. All right. Do you think this game between the Niners and the Eagles will be high scoring or low scoring? I happen to think there's going to be a low scoring game similar to the one between the Niners and the Seahawks. And the reason I say that is, I mean, let's just break it down. The Eagles have a bad offense, good players, bad play caller. They're averaging about 22 points a game. That's gross. One more bad game. If they lose to the Niners, they're firing that offensive coordinator. So the Niners have a huge coaching advantage on that side of the ball. Not a player advantage by any means, but the Niners will be prepared for whatever 8 plays the Eagles run on offense. 8 days to prepare for 8 plays and one play caller who's on the brink of getting fired. The Niners will have a good game plan, and I would imagine they'll show up for this game. Now, maybe Kazir White and Eric Kendricks are just awful and they can't defend the run, and Saquon Barkley goes for 250, and that's that. Possible. I don't think so, though. The Niners did a really good job against Jonathan Taylor a month ago. That's the same system. It's the same system. Robert Saleh ate it up. So I would expect the Eagles to score 20 points tops, simply because they have good players. Then on offense, it's Kyle against Fangio. And I'm telling you, they faced 4 times. Kyle's never scored more than 15 points. You could say, well, his quarterbacks were John Beck and RG3 and Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo, and that you would be correct. But I mean, what do we expect? I mean, do we really think Kyle Shanahan's going to put up 25, 21? Maybe, but I don't expect Trent Williams to play. He hasn't practiced in weeks, and it's not the kind of It's not the kind of injury that you can just wrap and like take a shot and ignore it. If he plays before he's ready and he tears his hamstring at his age, that's the end of his career. Could be. So I don't expect Trent to play. I don't expect Ricky Pearsall to play. He's not healthy. He's not. Last week, he was in practice every day as a limited participant. I saw him out there running around in uniform. Today, he was rehabbing. He's not ready to play. Maybe they'll run the ball better against Philly than they did against Seattle because Seattle has like a historically great run defense and Philly absolutely doesn't. They have a mediocre run defense. So maybe the Niners will run the ball a little bit better. But Philly is actually better against the pass than Seattle is statistically. It's going to be, Purdy's going to be in hell. It's going to be hard for him to get outside the pocket. When he's in the pocket, he's going to get swarmed. He's going to have a tough time seeing down the field. He's going to have to throw blind if he wants to, or he'll do what he did last week where he didn't want to throw blind because he knew the whole game was about not turning the ball over. So he's going to try to scramble out of the pocket even if it's a good pocket and people are open. That's what I expect. I don't think he's going to get much help from Kyle Shanahan or George Kittle or Ricky. I think the offense is going to struggle. Kyle's going up against someone just as good or better than him. The interior of that defensive line is incredible. The linebackers are good. Remember a couple of years ago when the Niners eviscerated the Eagles in Philly? That Eagles team couldn't tackle. That Eagles team had awful linebackers. Now they have good linebackers. Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond. They can tackle. I see a low-scoring game. But hey, maybe Kyle Shanahan with an eighth day to prepare lights up Vic Fangio, changes the narrative and makes me look stupid. I hope he does. I don't like being right. I'm used to being wrong. It's my comfort zone. Last thing, I'm getting out of here. Do you guys realize Joe Burrow's coming to the NFC most likely, right? There's so many reasons why this was the year for the Niners to go for it. The league is wide open. George Kittle's healthy now, although he was. I don't know if he still is. Trent Williams, I mean, they had their old guys healthy for a minute. Next year, they'll all be a year older, and Joe Burrow is coming to the NFC. I don't think you guys understand how intent the Vikings are to get him. They are going to move heaven and earth to get Joe Burrow, the Minnesota Vikings. And if they get Joe Burrow, they're the team to beat in the NFC instantly. That's potentially a true juggernaut. Now, the New York Jets are probably going to jump in that sweepstakes and try to make, up the price. I doubt Joe Burrow wants to go to the Jets, but I'm sure they'll be involved. I don't think he's going to the Jets. I think he's going to the Vikings. And then you got a problem. So my question is, if the Niners lose to the Eagles and Purdy isn't that great, or he's not good, would you want the Niners to get in on this? Would you be cool being like, nah, it's all right. Purdy didn't play that good. We lost the first round, but we believe in him. And we got Mac Jones. Let's just stand by and watch as the Vikings get an elite quarterback, future Hall of Famer. Or do you call the Vikings and say, hey, not the Vikings, the Bengals, and say, hey, so we just lost. And that really was sobering. We thought we had something, but then our quarterback, it's not that we don't like him because he's great. It's not his fault that we lost. We just like Joe Burrow. So if you can't have Joe, the next best thing is Brock. Because Joe's the fourth best quarterback in the league and Brock's the fifth best quarterback, according to EPA per play times 3 squared. So why don't we trade you Purdy for Burrow? Purdy and a first for Burrow. Does that get it done? Then you could trade Mac Jones to get a pick back. Trade Mac Jones to the Jets. I would. I like Brock Purdy. I like Mac Jones. They're not as good as Joe Burrow. I wouldn't want him to go to the Vikings. As soon as he goes to the Vikings, that's the team to beat. I wouldn't want that. Joe Burrow, I would make that trade. Especially if Purdy can't get it done. You figure if Joe Burrow had Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, he'd make it work. Although maybe Joe Burrow would get hurt too. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that. Just keep it in mind, all right? The Vikings are working on this as we speak. Scary. Kind of reminds me when the Rams got Matthew Stafford. Kilo TW says, why does it feel like the defense was better when Siegel was playing? I don't know. I felt like he was taking lumps and then they got him out of there. And now you got Jair Brown taking lumps and he's not improving. I thought that Siegel was a better run defender than Brown. Philip Coop says, did you see the video Lenore posted him covering JSN thoughts? Let it go, dude. You lost the game. Let it go. Let it go. I think that's what I would say. The Niners lost. It's not about you. It's team sport. You all lost together. Jonathan Briggs says this game will be low scoring. I'm guessing 15-9. Hopefully I'm wrong, but if that's what it takes for us to win because we have a better kicker, then I'm on board. 7 Dennis says prediction, Eddie De Niro, 15 points. I could totally see that. Todd Labor says 24-21 Niners. Eddie Pinero wins the game with a field goal late in the game by Kyle needs to win this game badly. He does need to win this game badly. EJ Reed says Pettis versus Ricky. Who had the better first 2 seasons? That's messed up. Okay, I've actually been monitoring this, and I was gonna go with Ricky, but now that Ricky's kind of getting shut down, it might be Pettis. What's crazy about Pettis is Pettis somehow had 7 touchdown catches in his first 2 seasons. In 2 seasons with the Niners, he started 11 games, caught. He didn't really play much the third year. Played a little bit. He had 1 target the third year. So in 2 seasons with the Niners, he had 38 catches for 576 yards and 7 touchdowns. In 2 years with the Niners, Pearsall had 67 catches for 928 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I can see why you would make the comparison. I think Ricky's better than Dante, but they're a similar skill set. I think in terms of size, speed, agility, route running. I think they're very similar. And with Dante, I felt like he became a mistake waiting to happen, like a drop waiting to happen. And I felt like the physicality, the violence of the game kind of caught up to him and he couldn't withstand it. Not only did he keep getting hurt, but I felt like he was like wincing or expecting I mean, it all culminated with that awful kick return where he kind of like tiptoed into the crowd and got blasted and injured. Ricky hasn't done that yet, but as the injuries keep piling up, I wonder. They are about the same height, weight, speed. And there is a scenario where Pearsall's career takes the Dante Pettis trajectory. Or there's a scenario where it doesn't. As long as I'm rocking this beard, I'm open-minded on Ricky Pearsall, man. Boxing Fan Times 4 says when the Niners choose to fire Kyle, should they go back to getting the next head coach from college like Walsh Harbaugh? I don't know. You know, Walsh and Harbaugh had a lot of NFL experience. I wouldn't just get a college coach. I'd want a guy who has NFL experience, maybe some college experience. Walsh wasn't at Stanford for that long. He was a long-time NFL coach with the Bengals. The real Harvey Dent says Joe is overrated, top 10 O-line and top 3 wide receivers. No. Brock Purdy's overrated. Joe Burrow is properly rated. Pardon me. Sorry about that, Niner fans. All right, you know what time it is. You already know what time it is. Okay, now I know why it was blue, because sometimes StreamYard kind of like glitches and you have to reload it. And now I don't have my little that's all right. Hold on. That's okay. Hold on. Share my screen. Boom. All right, and then I'll press this. Oh, I'm a genius. Figuring out on the fly. Hold on. And then is it this? Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, StreamYard. You tried to slip me up, but you couldn't. You couldn't do it. All right. So should we pick you can pick teams on Prize Picks now. Do you know that? Niners, you should we pick the Niners to win? I don't think they're going to win. But if you pick the Niners to win, you put $20 down, you win $54. If you pick the Eagles to win, you put $20 down, you win $28. But I think the Eagles are going to win. So I'm going to put $20 down on the Eagles just because I'm going to submit that. Thanks. And then I'm going to go back and do another one. Let's go players. What's culture? I don't know. I don't want to confuse myself. Niners. Here we go. Okay. Pass yards. Brock, 229.5. No, not against his defense. I'm sorry, not with Kyle Shanahan coaching against, calling plays against Vic Fangio. Jalen Hurts, 205.5. No, I don't think so. I think this is going to be two teams running the ball. Rushing yards. Saquon Barkley, 81.5. Yeah, I think so. Christian McCaffrey, 57.5. Yeah, I think so. Jalen Hurts, 31.5. Yeah, I think so. Brock Purdy, 16.5. Has to. I love that. These are my prize picks, and it's mostly running, except for the couple Brock and Jay. Two Brocks, 2 Hurts, 1 Christian, 1 Barkley. Check it out. I'm flexing. I'm going to put down $200 to win. What if I did power play? Oh, I'm gonna flex it. Submitting. Boom, we're locked in. I just put $200 down on my prize picks. You can get your prize picks if you download the app, play $5. And when you download the app and you use my promo code, COHN, if you play $5, boom, you just got $50 instantly in lineups when you use my promo code COHN. So do that. All right, now I got to take that thing off the screen. Okay, there. Now I got to go back over here. All right, sweet. There it is. Thank you for humoring me. Jason says Philly could do a 99-yard drive of only tush pushes, and we probably still couldn't stop them. Need to sell out against the run. I'd really like to see Robert Saleh not play the 2 deep safeties all day. Don't let the Eagles have the ball for 45 minutes. Don't let them run for 250 yards, please. That's my only request as the humble quality control coach. All right, 6:50. I'm done. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with Tom Walsh. I'm flying to Philly on Friday. I think I'll be streaming Friday morning. So, once a day, I got sponsors. You know what I'm saying? I got to satisfy the sponsors, and I gotta give you guys the content you need. And I gotta force the Niners into playing Jake Tonjes. Play Jake Tonjes.